If marketed well, groups can be a very hot commodity. Being that groups are a collective, there are various different angles to take when trying to make groups happen. Take the Spice Girls for example, who marketed their group as 5 different individuals with distinct personalities and stylistic choices. And when together, they had an undeniable burst of chemistry, as opposed to a group like Destiny's Child, which basically served as a launching pad for Beyoncé's inevitable solo career. There are various groups that have members that are equally important to the group's chemistry and appeal, and that's the difference between a group like TLC and Destiny's Child. Destiny's Child had various lineup changes throughout their career, while TLC was never quite the same after Left Eye passed. While a reunion or show for acts like the Pussycat Dolls and Destiny's Child solely depend upon their lead singer's choosing, groups like the Spice Girls can happily tour without Posh Spice because their group has different variables, characters, and appeals. They may not be huge solo stars, but they are essential to their group, which will allow them to make money off of nostalgia for essentially their entire lives. Group dynamics can also be challenging. A good majority of members in groups actually never intended on being in a group, but the opportunity arose for superstardom, and they took it. But in this video, we will discuss the flip side of the coin. The people who find their way into these mega groups and leave before the group even achieves success, for whatever reason, whether that be because they opted for a solo career, or just didn't fit the dynamic of the group. It honestly often leaves me wondering, do these almost members ever feel a sense of loss? Do they regret missing out on such a huge opportunity? Or are they content and have a different passion? The Spice Girls. The Spice Girls to this day remain the best-selling girl group of all time worldwide. Their debut album Spice is the best-selling album by a girl group in history, selling upwards of a staggering 23 million copies. They were a true phenomenon in every sense of the word, and towering figures of 90s pop culture. Commonly characterized by their fun chemistry and individual stylistic choices, it's hard to imagine anyone else being able to fill the shoes of Posh, Scary, Sporty, Baby, and Ginger Spice. Highlighting differences as opposed to appearing as a monolith was really beneficial to their brand. They all just aligned so well, which is one of the main reasons why they were able to capture audiences. However, there was one member that left the mega girl group before they achieved their big breakthrough, and before they were even known as the Spice Girls. The Spice Girls were originally named Touch, and there was a third girl in the group whose name also started with M. Her name is Michelle Stevenson. Michelle received highly positive reviews for her audition, and the highest score amongst the original lineup. She was the first girl to be chosen for the group. Eventually, Michelle, alongside the other 4 girls, moved in together where they essentially went through boot camp and took singing and dancing lessons. However, the chemistry with Michelle was not right, and it became clearer the longer she stayed around. Her actual exit has different accounts. Michelle says that she left because she wasn't happy with the type of music they were making, and she wanted to go back to college.
I wasn't really happy. It wasn't really the kind of music which I wanted to be doing. It wasn't the kind of music which they ended up coming out with, of course, a few years later. It was very, very pop, it just really wasn't what I was into.
And her mother was also diagnosed with breast cancer, which gave her more of a reason to leave. Their boss, Bob Herbert, claimed he fired her because she just wasn't fitting in. Victoria Beckham reportedly claimed that Michelle just couldn't be arsed to put in the same work as the rest of the girls. I was the one at university, the intelligent one as it were. They all thought I was Smart Spice, said Michelle. After she left the group, she was firmly replaced with Emma Bunton, also known as Baby Spice, who would give the group the chemistry that was desired, and the rest is history. As far as Michelle and whether she regrets leaving the group, she said, "The whole Spice Girl thing just wasn't right for me. The other girls and I wrote for a time, but then we were all busy and we lost contact. I wasn't really surprised when they became famous. I always imagined they'd do well. Of course I regret I'm not a multimillionaire like them," she said, "but at the time I left the group, I knew I was doing the right thing. It wasn't my kind of music, and they were not living the lifestyle I wanted." NSYNC. NSYNC helped define 90s teen pop. Justin Timberlake is the only member to emerge as a solo star, while the other members are pretty much faithful to the legacy of NSYNC. The boys of NSYNC all appear to have a lot of chemistry with each other as they emerged into the spotlight together, and they would achieve excessive commercial heights. Their album No Strings Attached famously sold over 1 million copies in one day, and 2.4 million copies in 1 week. which was a record for over 15 years. NSYNC seemed like a perfect launching pad for the careers of all of the members, giving them visibility that is otherwise very hard to obtain. But one person rejected his stardom for a life he'd be more content with. As the group geared up to sign to a label, Jason Galasso dropped out, claiming that he never wanted to be a teen idol. The NSYNC name is actually utilizing Jason and the other members' last letter of each of their last name. According to Jason, he was dissatisfied with the direction of the music and was hesitant to sign the contract. He actually left NSYNC to pursue another group that never went anywhere. He said it would have been nice to have the money, and Jason also said that if he knew the type of music they would have eventually made, his decision likely would have been different. After Jason dropped out, Lance Bass took his place. TLC. TLC is one of the best girl groups of all time. Noted for their dynamic essentialism when it came to their group. T-Boz, Chili, and Left Eye ruled the 90s and early thousands. They in turn inspired many groups after them. Although tumultuous lawsuits were threatened to derail their careers, they came out on top commercially, until Left Eye's tragic death in 2002. TLC is a group that meshes very well and each member served a purpose. But initially it wasn't going to be the individuals that personified crazy, sexy, cool. Crystal Jones was originally the C in TLC. What makes her departure much more significant than other group members' departures is that Crystal Jones founded TLC. That's right, TLC was actually her idea. She came up with the concept for a girl group that would combine hip-hop and R&B elements. She put out a call for other members, and T-Boz and Left Eye were the ones to join her. The group's original name was Second Nature. According to Crystal, after they auditioned for Pebbles and she took a liking to them, they were gearing up to sign on to her label, but Crystal had some reservations about the contract. When Crystal allegedly asked Pebbles if she could take her contract home to get a second opinion, Pebbles allegedly shut her down and said no, so Crystal didn't sign it. Crystal was not happy with the way she was portrayed in TLC's 2013 biopic, and slammed it for being inaccurate. They portrayed her as someone who didn't mesh well with the other girls and couldn't sing.
She liked the concept, she liked the idea, and the way that they depict me in the movie is if I'm non-talented, can't sing, and that's so totally the opposite. But my thing is, if I'm so untalented, then why would Enberg manage me? Why am I setting out for failure if I'm that awful? This is
right.
But they had to put in that moment, kind of give everybody a reason why I didn't continue on when that was actually true. So it's Hollywood.
Yeah.
In Crystal's defense, it is common for biopics to be embellished and inaccuracies to be used in order to make the story more fit for a movie. When speaking of TLC's meteoric rise to fame, Crystal seemed to feel slighted at first, especially in her younger years, since music was her dream.
I did try to pursue a solo, but nothing ever, it's like, how can you make a better cake from the one you just made? In the what else can I do? I couldn't put another girls group together. So I tried and I did a little writing, and songs got taken from me and produced and published, and I got nothing from it. So the whole industry, after all of that, I just kind of took a back burner.
Yeah.
And plus, a lot of people don't realize, I'm not to cut you off, but a lot of people don't realize we were very young. We were 19 and 18. And I was a baby, so my mindset was like all over the place. So then, with the girls, that was my life. That was what I wanted,
But she says that now that she's older, she's very proud of them. T-Boz responded to Crystal's comments about the movie saying, "So Crystal, I would be mad if I got kicked out of my own group too, and TLC blew up. I would have some harbored feelings, so I understand her, so sorry. I've apologized for the way things went down. I did bring Pebbles to the table. The way me and Lisa handled it may not have been the best, but I'm not at 43 after saying sorry, gonna talk about some mess." Innocence. Innocence was never really a big girl group. In fact, they are more known for being the group that the one member left. They were said to be the female answer to NSYNC. They were managed by Lou Pearlman of Backstreet and NSYNC fame, and Justin Timberlake's mother. A young Britney Spears was selected to be a part of the group, but she left shortly after, opting for a solo career, and that clearly worked well for her. Innocence never truly got off the ground. Multiple members left. They only released one single album that didn't have any commercial prosperity. It begs the question, would they have done better with someone like Britney leading the group? The group disbanded in 2003. Destiny's Child. Destiny's Child present day is mostly remembered for being a trio: Beyonce, Kelly, and Michelle. DC4 slips the mind. In all the reunions they've had throughout the years, it's only been the trio involved in reunions. Destiny's Child had a very famous and messy lineup change. While LaToya Luckett and Latavia Robertson were allegedly kicked out of the group, Farrah Franklin, who was brought in to be one of the replacements for the girls, in her own words, chose to leave the group. She was only in the group for 6 months and missed big promotional events. Farrah says it was due to sickness, and after management felt displeased with her absence, she left the group. Beyonce stated on the other hand that Farrah was disinterested and showed a lack of commitment, so they dismissed her. Farrah denies it and claims that she left. Nonetheless, Farrah barely sung on any Destiny's Child songs. She contributed to Jumpin' Jumpin' and Independent Women, most notably, but ultimately she wasn't in the group long enough to make a huge impression. It seemed like the lineup was playing musical chairs. Farrah continues to release music independently. The Black Eyed Peas. The Black Eyed Peas are more remembered for their late 2000s and early 2010s blend of party pop and hip hop music nowadays, but they started off as a more self-serious hip hop focused group. But the group faced pressures to conform to contemporary trends, and before Fergie would become the front woman of the group, there was another woman in her place that goes by the name Kim Hill. Kim Hill was not a fan of the sexualized direction the Black Eyed Peas were going in, and subsequently dropped out of the group. A few people were considered for taking her place, including Nicole Scherzinger of the Pussycat Dolls, but Fergie eventually took on the role and is the voice and face that propelled the Black Eyed Peas' most popular work. Kim Hill has no love lost towards the Black Eyed Peas or Fergie. In fact, she said she's proud of their success, and feels her and Fergie would connect on being women in the music industry. Kim decided to stay true to herself and not compromise her own values.